Alright, so I watched a lot of anime this summer, like a stupid amount. Now, I didn't watch every summer anime, that would be kinda too much. But I thought, why not talk about all of them in one video, and rank them from what I feel is worst to best, and just what I overall enjoyed watching from least to the best. But before the video begins, what's up guys, it's Storm back here with another video, and if you like the content you're seeing, then be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. I mean, they're all free, so why not? If you want some dope channel merch, the link to that will be down in the description below. And if you want to see more of me, go check out my other channels and go follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, which will all be linked down below. But without further ado, why don't we just dive right on in. Now, on our long list of anime, at the very bottom, we have an isekai. What a surprise. And that isekai is called Drugstore in Another World. The name says it in itself what the story is about. Guy goes to another world, opens a drugstore, makes potions and shit, and sells it. Along with the tropes of cute ghost girl and adorable fox girl, and that's about it. I only watched the first episode, and I knew every episode was going to be pretty much the exact same. If you want to pass time when you have nothing to do, then this is the anime for you, because it is boring as shit, and I dropped it after the first episode. Moving on to the next one, this one was actually a little bit difficult to put here because I honestly kinda do enjoy watching it, but it has some major flaws, and that is Seirei Spirit Chronicles. It's pretty much just a generic run-of-the-mill isekai with a Kirito clone for the main character, who gets a harem that involves magic and shit. It started out pretty good with the main character being pretty much intertwined with another soul, basically two people in one body, with memories from both lives, which sounds interesting, but all the generic isekai shit happens and it just brings the series down. But it's still an isekai and it doesn't matter if it's ass, I'll still watch it, well, except for the last one. So, the next anime we have is Girlfriend. Now this right here is a guilty pleasure anime at its finest. The main character started dating his childhood friend and things are going good until another girl confesses that she likes him, and instead of doing the sensible thing and turning her down, he immediately falls head over heels and they go together to his girlfriend. And he asks if he can date them both, and she reluctantly agrees, and then they move in with them, you know, just a normal thing to do. Not to mention that they're in high school, so it just goes about their crazy relationship, and along the way a couple more girls get added and it turns into a harem anime. But one thing it has going for it is humor. This anime, it definitely gave me a good laugh at some points. But in retrospective, it's still kinda if we're actually gonna be honest. But moving forward, we have My Next Life as a Villainous. It follows a high school girl, for once, who dies from truck run, what a surprise, and gets transported inside a game she played. But she happens to be living the life of the villain, and she has to stop herself from living the villain's life, cause at the end of the game, a terrible fate awaits the villain, and that fate awaits her. Along the way, she gains a harem of men and women, and at first I was like, why am I watching this? And I didn't think I would like it, but after a few episodes, I ended up binge watching all of Season 1, but I still gotta catch up on Season 2. Although once I finished it, I saw the flaws that a lot of isekai fall into, such as a harem with a magic academy, but it's still enjoyable nonetheless. Next, we have Boy Riverside. It's based off an old Japanese story called The Peach Boy, and the anime takes place in a fantasy world where humans lived in walled-off cities. Well, mostly, but there are still villages and shit. But they do this because of ogres, and our main character is a princess who sets off on a journey when she met the Peach Boy, who's out to kill all the ogres. And not to mention he's also strong as fuck. But he's also really interesting as a character, with how much he hates the ogres, and it's kind of cool to see all the different kinds of ogres. But one major issue I have with the series is that the anime, it's out of order when it comes to following the story from the manga, meaning it doesn't start from the beginning. It jumps around the story and it can be pretty confusing at times, and this really drags the anime down when it could have been a top tier series. Continuing, we have Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy. Yet again, another isekai, but this one is a little bit different and is actually pretty good. Our main character is transported to another world where his parents were originally from, and meets a goddess who thinks he's ugly as fuck, and drops him at the edge of the world with all the monsters. So basically, think of a mix between Konosuba and Shield Hero, with its own twists. Also, we have monsters that become waifus, so that makes me rethink the next time I see a spider. Instead of killing it, who knows, it might become a big titty anime girl. Although, other than those aspects, it's still your run-of-the-mill isekai with an overpowered protagonist, but it's still a fun show to watch nonetheless. After this, we have I'm Standing on a Million Lives. Some people who've seen this might be like, how is this higher than some of the other anime? But it's all due to the main character. All the other aspects are like a normal isekai, but the main character is what does it for me. Starting out, he pretty much hates everything, but as the series continues, he starts to see other people as actual humans, and people he can talk to, but at the same time, he only sees them for their value. So if they're strong and useful, they're good, but if they're weak and in the way, he could care less. But while all of this is happening, he's struggling with trying to do more right and stop all the not so good thoughts. Pretty much he's just an anti-hero main character that's struggling with his humanity. But that's pretty much the only aspect that I find appealing, as the other parts are just a generic isekai. But they also go back and forth from the fantasy world to the regular world. Moving on, we have yet another isekai with how a realist hero rebuilt a kingdom. This one is really interesting as there's a lot of political drama going on, and the main hero isn't overpowered at all. In fact, he's sort of weak, but instead of that, he's made the king of the country in the magical world he's transported to. And this country has a lot of issues that need to be fixed and resolved, and so it's about him solving these issues, with, like I said, political drama going on, with some people not liking that he's the new king. Honestly, I really like stories that involve political issues like this, and I think this is honestly my second favorite isekai of this season. The next anime is The Duke of Death and His Maid. Now this anime is CGI, which might deter a lot of people, but if you can get through that, this anime is really good. The story follows the main character, the Duke, who suffers from a curse where anything that he touches, if it's alive, it dies. And he was cursed by a witch, so that no one could ever love him, or he could ever feel loved. And so he lives in a mansion with this maid named Alice, who is definitely waifu material. With the most stoic face at the most random of times, she'll lift up her skirt or do something that might seem like sexual harassment to get a reaction out of the Duke, who definitely gets embarrassed by it. But she does it to make him feel better, and the connection these two share will make you wish you had something like they did. But just imagine the idea of being in his place. Like, that's some real dark shit, and it just makes this anime all the better. But the CGI aspect makes a couple of the animation scenes wacky as hell, and people who don't like CGI anime might find this really hard to watch, but just give it a try. With the next anime, we have Remake Our Lives. So this is an anime about a guy who doesn't like the life he's currently living at the moment, and he wishes he went down a different path. And one morning, he wakes up 10 years in the past, and he uses this opportunity to go to the fine arts college that he wanted to go to, but didn't. And now it's his chance to make it big in this industry. And along the way, he makes friends that in the future are famous, and he wants to get to their level. Some people might say this anime is overrated, but I find it to be really fun to watch, as I like the character interactions, and I like the story, and I find the field of study that the story is about, meaning like film and everything that's involved with that, and I'm actually really interested in that myself, and that's probably what I'm going to go to college for, so I can connect with this anime on a level that other people who aren't interested in this field probably can't, and I just find that to be really fucking cool, to be honest. And there's also a female character with blue hair, who is definitely best girl. You can't change my mind on that. So with the next one, we have the Idaten deities know only peace. Now, if you're a fan of anime with a lot of action and fighting, you'll definitely like this anime. The story follows the Idaten, who are gods who live in a time of peace, when in the past they fought a war against demons, but that fight is starting up once again. But there's a twist in that the demons, they don't really stand a chance, and the Idaten, who are the main characters, they're not really good or bad, they just do what's best for them. If they have to wipe out a bunch of humans to kill the demons, then they'll end up doing that if it's the best plan, but if not, they won't. So think Dragon Ball if the main characters were neutral. This is a really fun series to watch, and my favorite character is actually the Glasses character, who you would never think would be that interesting, but he's probably the most fascinating character in the series, and it makes you want to see what he does next and how it affects the story. Not to mention that this anime is unique in that there's nothing else like it airing at the moment, and it gives you a breath of fresh air, especially from all the isekai anime. After this, we have Sunnyboy. Now, I don't know whether to classify this anime as an isekai, sci-fi drama, or whatever, because this anime, it's the biggest mindfuck I've watched all year. It follows a group of high school students who are transported from the world, along with their school, and that's pretty much all I can say about the story, because anything more and it'll spoil it. But the main aspect that drives this anime is you never know what's going to happen next. After watching the first episode, you'll be interested and intrigued, but by the second episode, you'll be like, what the fuck is even happening? Like I said, this anime is definitely a mindfuck, and it's unlike any anime I've watched in a long time, and that's definitely saying something. So if you want something different that's really good, then this is the anime for you. And some people who are watching might be putting this as anime of the season, and even anime of the year. And I can definitely see where they're coming from. Okay, with this next one, you have to hear me out. It's called Battle Game in 5 Seconds. Now, each season, everyone has that one anime that they watch where they can see the major flaws in it, but they still love to watch it nonetheless. And that's how I feel with this anime. It's a survival battle royale where everyone is given a random power or ability, and then they have to fight, hence the name. The main character is a high schooler who spends all of his time playing games, and he wishes real life was like a game, until one day it actually was for him, since, he's in this survival battle royale now. Instead of most main character survival protagonist qualities with them being scared, he's actually excited to play, and use his ability, which is whatever his enemy thinks his ability is. So he can pretty much fucking do anything. Not to mention that he's pretty much a sociopath, as he uses people around him to his advantage, and he manipulates the main girl of the series into liking him so he can use her to his advantage. But no one really notices it, which is kinda weird, but I kinda like it at the same time. This anime right here is my guilty pleasure anime where I know it has some major flaws, and it's kinda not so good at some parts, but I just can't help it. The next anime is That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime Season 2 Part 2. If you've seen this anime, you know what I mean when I say it's good, especially the first part of Season 2. That shit was amazing. It follows Rimuru, a guy who was transported to another world after he died, and he becomes a slime, and throughout the story, he builds his own nation of monsters and goes through a lot of changes as a character. And overall, it's just a damn good isekai. And with Season 2 Part 2, we have the political drama aspect like Realist Hero, but even better mixed in with action and a war going on between two demon lords, which involves Rimuru and his nation. Overall, it's just a really good anime, and is by far the best isekai this season, and probably the best isekai anime of 2021. Moving into the final 3 I watched, we have Higurashi When They Cry Sotsu. Now, Higurashi is a horror anime that follows the town of Hinamizawa, where strange occurrences happen around the town yearly, and this affects the main characters in ways where they go batshit insane, and some real dark shit happens. Now, Sotsu is a continuation of the long-running series and is essentially a Season 2 of the 2020 series. It takes place at the exact same time as Season 1, which is known as Go, and it adds so much to it, making the 2020 series so much better. If you like dark anime with some seriously messed up scenes, or just horror anime in general, then this is definitely the anime for you, because I highly recommend it. Because as soon as a new episode comes out, I immediately stop everything and watch it. Our second to last anime is The Rest of To Your Eternity. This anime is incredible. It follows the story of Fushi, who is an immortal orb that was cast upon Earth by presumably God, and the anime goes about his life and all the interactions he makes along the way, especially with all the people he ends up meeting and that get close to him. This anime will definitely make you cry like a bitch if you get close to certain characters, so I'll just warn you if you're gonna watch it. But just the idea of being immortal, living and learning about everything, is what I really like about the series and what really drives it for me. Now the first half of this anime is incredible, but the second half is still really good, but the first half is still better, especially that first episode. But the second half, I just don't find it as engaging as the first half, but don't get me wrong, the second half is still fucking amazing. But that reason is why it's not taking first place in my ranking for my favorite anime this season. And speaking of my favorite anime this season, and what I feel is the best, is Tokyo Revengers. It started airing back in spring, but it was scheduled for 24 episodes, so it's still airing. Now bro, this anime right here is so fucking good. It follows the story of Tsukimichi, who finds out his old girlfriend died because of a gang, and he ends up going back in time to when he was about 14, to when he was still dating his old girlfriend, and he promises to save her by joining the gang that caused her death, and climbing the ranks until he's the head of that gang. Throughout the series, he has to stop certain events from happening so he can save her, but not everything always works out, and with the past 9 to 10 episodes, the series has really stepped up, especially with the ending to episode 12. That honestly was probably my favorite episode of every anime I watched this season. Now, Tsukimichi might look like a bitch, and that might just be true, but that's what his character is meant to be like, so he can truly develop. I mean, you can't blame him, some of the things he has to do are crazy difficult, but he still manages to accomplish them, and the other characters in this show are so good, especially Draken, Mikey, and Baji. Bro, Baji, this man's just such a badass, taking on 50 enemies of a rival gang by himself, and he does it while looking like such a badass. I think this anime is anime of the season, at least for me anyways, and this is honestly becoming one of my favorite anime of all time. It's definitely in my top 10 for sure. And that was all the anime I watched this summer, with me ranking them from my least favorite to the very best that I watch. There are a few that I know would be fairly high that I have to watch and catch up on, such as My Hero Season 5, the most recent episodes of Boruto and Dragon Maid. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I sure had fun talking about all these different series. So let me know if you want to see more videos like this. And also let me know if you disagree with any of my placings or rankings, I guess. And let me know how you would rank this, or if you watched any other different anime, or just what you thought of these anime. But with all that out of the way, I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace. 愛してる